Hi, JPTNation and everyone else in between. I'm Journals. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I really appreciate it. Today, coming to you straight from a page from my journal, I'm giving you part one of why you might hate working at your public school in South Korea. Stay tuned. Number one, teacher dinners. Now, on the surface, they might not seem like important, anything big that you would grow to hate or be annoying, but for someone like me who's a little bit of an introvert around coworkers, because coworkers and personal life just not supposed to mix like that, that's a little bit of an uncomfortable situation to be in. So when I got to Korea, that's when I learned about them. As all the research and stuff that I did before leaving, it never popped up at all. But then when I got to Korea and found myself in those situations, that's when I had like something to put into Google and then read other people's stories to see how they were navigating through this teacher dinner life. So let me tell you what teacher dinners are. Every Wednesday around 3 or 3:30 after the students have left for the day, all of the teachers get together and then they go down to the gym and they play volleyball or any other sport that the principal wants to play. You go down there and you split up and you play against each other. When you're done, the principal, he might order chicken or pizza. There's normally soju and beer. Or you'll go out to a restaurant and eat. And to fund all of this, the teachers will put in anywhere between $40 to $60 a month. I don't remember how much it changes at each school. So every teacher, they would pay whatever the fee is a month, and that would cover all of the expenses. The other thing that would happen is sometimes another school would come, and so it'll be your school together playing against another school, and if you're really lucky, they will put money on the game, and if your team wins, you don't get a piece of the cut. Now, I would much rather be up in my English room than being down there and playing volleyball or going out to eat, not coming home until like 8, 8:30 at night. I know it sounds bad because I'm there in Korea. I should be mingling with the teachers and doing things with them to show that I'm excited to be there. But that's, to me, not how I could show my excitement in other ways. That's not what I wanted to do. And so I didn't. And it did cause some pushback, to be honest. And I did notice that I was being treated differently because I stopped doing things with them. But there were a list of other reasons in addition to me not wanting to just not do it, because I did try for a while, but there other things were happening behind the scenes that made me decide that I didn't want to do these things anymore with these people. So I just stopped doing it, and they started treating me differently because of it. And what that situation showed me, though, was that there were a lot of hush tensions that existed amongst the teachers there. And it was becoming more and more apparent that I wasn't the only one who didn't want to do these things. And a situation of this was we had went out for dinner one day, and how some of the restaurants are, it's their rooms. So you'll have like a room and then like a table, and so your whole party is in that room. And so I'm kind of near the door. I'm sitting at the edge of the table, and one of the teachers leaves. She goes to the bathroom, but then she comes back, and I see her coming back to our room, but she's walking slow. And almost as if like she didn't want to come back. And then she gets to like the door, and she kind of like looks in and she says something in like a low voice to the principal, and he like in between shots of like soju, he kind of just like waves her off, and then she leaves, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, did she just ask for permission to leave? What is going on here? And then that's when I really realized, well, not, I didn't realize then how deep it was, but I was starting to realize it when I stopped doing it, when I didn't want to do it anymore, that this thing runs deep. And a lot of the teachers were following these social rules and unspoken guidelines that they had to abide by because of my second point, hierarchy. Hierarchy is just how things work. It's just how it works. So it's how things work in the school too. The principal is the top, followed by the vice principal, and if you're from a native English teacher standpoint, next would be your co-teacher, and then yourself, and that's the chain of information flow, I guess you want to call it. So let's just say, here in the States, you have a situation, right? You get a frantic phone call from home, and so you need to leave work. You go to your boss's office and you're like, hey, X, Y, and Z just happened. It's an emergency. I have to leave. Your boss, more than likely, is like, okay, take care of what you need to take care of. I hope everything works out. Keep me updated. And then you're off, right? Not in Korea. So this is what happens in Korea. If you have an issue, that information first has to go to your co-teacher. Your co-teacher takes that information and gives it to the vice principal. The vice principal then brings that information to the principal. He gives an answer, and then it gets filtered back down. Now wait. If you remember the name, the game, telephone, then you know how crazy messages are from how it started to how it ends. And everyone is speaking English right there. Now imagine in another language. So you give the message in English. He hears it in English. He interprets it and changes it in his mind to Korean, and then filters that information. Then it comes back down. Then he has to change it in his mind to English and then give it to you. More than likely, it's different. The information is always a little off. And you have to go, oh, I actually meant, not this, but that. And then the whole thing has to happen again before you get your answer. And here's a situation that actually happened to me. I was teaching a winter camp, and this particular day I was sick. But I really didn't want to call out, and so I was just trying to, to work through it. But I just wasn't feeling well. And before I know it, I had to like throw up. So like I run out the classroom, I run down the hall to the bathroom, I'm like vomiting, and I come out to my class and I'm like, I need to go home. I don't know what's going on, but I feel bad. I don't feel good at all. So I go to my co-teacher. I'm like, hey, listen, I have to go. I have to go right now. I'm not feeling good. And then he's like, oh, no, wait. We have to ask the principal. And I'm like, I just threw up. I'm not feeling good. And again, this is a rural town in Korea, so the buses aren't frequently. They run maybe something like every hour, and however it worked out, I had checked the timing, and if I didn't leave within like 10 minutes, I would miss that bus, and I would have to wait another hour for the next one. So he's like, no, we have to ask the principal. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So he sends his text messages, and then we have to wait. And then luckily, the principal responded within like 5 minutes, and then I was able to go. But I mean, what if he didn't see the message until later? Like, then what? I would have had to stay? So it's things like that sometimes that the hierarchy situation just really it gets frustrating and it's annoying, and it really makes you like just dislike the system. Like, all schools aren't like this though, and I just want to point this out. I worked at two schools. One school I called the good school, the other school I called the bad school. This is the bad school. The good school, my relationship with the principal was not like this at all. That level of hierarchy, it did exist, but it wasn't to that extent. If I had an issue, I could just go straight to my principal. Um, like, there were times when me and my principal, we would just be in her office, just drinking tea, just eating, chatting, just sipping in silence, and that's just what it was. Her mentality was just a little different. I think she might have lived overseas or something, but her mentality was just a little bit different. So all schools definitely aren't like that, but they aren't in the majority. So I was very lucky to experience a really bad school and then also a really good one. Number 3 on the list of things that may cause you to hate working at your public school in South Korea is desk warming. Now, there's a lot of information on desk warming, and this was actually something that I was able to find before coming to Korea. So I was kind of prepared for it. And even though it's not like super, super annoying, it's still on the list because, I mean, you could just be doing something else with your time. So, for those who aren't familiar, this is what desk warming is. Your students, they're not there after school because it's winter vacation for them, summer vacation for them, whatever the case, they're not there. But instead of letting you like go home because, I mean, there's no students, so you have no one to teach, your principal all of a sudden won't who wants you to stay there because contracts are important to him. So he needs to follow the contract on this matter. Now, I already explained to you about my good school, so you already know I didn't have this issue. They just said, you know what? Give us a little outline of what you plan to do with the students for after school for the next semester, and you don't need to be here. And considering that my days were broken up, a Monday to Wednesday at the good school and then Thursday to Friday at the bad school, that made my overall desk warming experience not too bad because half the week I was in the school doing, just whatever I wanted. But then the other 2 days, I was at my house. Now, if the principal found out about that, he probably wouldn't have been too happy. But luckily, the schools don't communicate that well. So that worked in my favor. So again, there are tons of things you can be doing while you're desk warming. Again, you're getting paid for it. So there's really no reason to complain. You're pretty much just there doing nothing. But doing nothing is always better in the comfort of your own home, right? Number 4 on the list of things of why you might hate working at your public school in South Korea is open windows. Now, this does not seem like a big thing at first. In the summertime, maybe. Even in the spring, perhaps even in the fall. But in the winter, yeah, that's a problem. I'm gonna need all these windows closed. And I mean, everyone is walking around with coats and hats and holding like the hot packs. And I just can't get down like that. I never kept my coat on while I was teaching and inside the building. It's just not something that I do. And also, it's like if you keep your coat and everything on all day and then you go outside in the cold, it's almost as if you don't have a coat on outside and you're going out into the cold. All right, JPT Nation, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for checking out this video, part 1 of why you might hate working at your public school in South Korea. I really appreciate you watching me. Stay tuned for next week. I'll be giving you part 2. See you next time.